Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. 4 shot, 1 fatally in Waterhouse, St. Andrew. Consumer and business confidence declined in June. And later in sports, Guyanese batting star passes fitness test. I'm Giovanni Dennis and here are the details. Up first, 4 persons were shot, 1 fatally, in Waterhouse, St. Andrew this morning. It's still not clear what led to the shooting. We now join our reporter Kirk Wright live via phone for the latest. Kirk, what more can you tell us?
Thank you very much, Giovanni. We are in the Waterhouse community, and I'm standing on Unity Drive now, where, yes, we can confirm that 4 persons were shot. Earlier, it was said that a child was among those shot, but no, the police have since said that that is not true. 1 person has died, but we do have the commander with us, Kirk Ricketts. He's here on location with us. Mr. Ricketts, about what time this happened?
About 9 a.m. this morning, we had men coming into community. We're clearer than about 2 vehicles and open fire indiscriminately, I would say, at persons. And so far, we know that at least 4 persons were shot. 1 would have succumbed since.
Mm-hmm. More information since I've been here is that this all stemmed from a football match on Saturday.
Well, there are a number of theories, but we do know of an incident in the Balmaji area where we had a fatal stabbing, a murder actually. And since then, we have had some incidents which we believe could be connected to this incident. So it's basically a gang-type situation. Now, we have at least 2 communities that we're going to have to try to prevent the reprisals and the continued cycle of violence that we normally see in gang-type conflicts.
So you had some idea that something like this would have been brewing. You weren't taken by surprise this morning.
We know that reprisals are likely. The issue is where we'll get a reprisal. These are very big communities, and we do have resources in the space. I tell you that it is likely that whenever these individuals decide to carry out their acts, they would do their surveillance first, and they will know that at that time, wherever they want to do it, that the officers are not going to be, that they're not there at that time. So, but we have increased our presence since that incident on Saturday in the various occasions. As I indicated, we're looking at least 3 communities that could be involved, and they're wide and particularly dense. So it's somewhat difficult to predict exactly where these culprits will hit, but we're at it, and we will definitely hope to interdict them quite shortly. At this time, we are on the ground now. We're getting some very good information as to who the persons are and who actually gave the instructions for this particular incident today. At a particular time, I'll be able to put names out and ask persons to turn themselves in. But at the moment, no, we're looking to locate persons and arrest with evidence, hopefully.
Thank you very much. Commander there for the St. Andrew South Police Division, SSP Kirk Ricketts. As soon as we get more information, we'll keep you up to date. Gio?
All right, thank you so much, Kirk. Our reporter Kirk right there coming to us live from Waterhouse, St. Andrew, where 4 persons were shot, 1 fatally this morning. To other news, consumer confidence fell marginally by 1% for the June quarter, according to data released today. Business confidence also declined by 7.6%. Pollster and CEO of Market Research Services, Don Anderson, said some consumers and business operators are bracing for more difficult economic conditions in the months ahead. Speaking at a webinar this morning, he said that nearly half of the consumers surveyed expected economic conditions to worsen.
45% said the economy is going to get worse. Well, what are the reasons? What are the drivers? One, not surprisingly, the most important factor that they cite, high prices. Impact of the war in Ukraine. High crime rate. It's not the businesses alone that are concerned about the high crime rate. lack of employment, understandably, and nothing in place as far as they're concerned to affect any change. So that's the number 5 reason is probably the height of the pessimism. They're saying, I don't see anything happening that is likely to make a change in my fortunes.
The People's National Party is renewing its call for the police to expedite the investigations into the disappearance of social media influencer Donnelly Donaldson. She was reported missing July 13. In a release this morning, the PNP says given that police personnel have been associated with her disappearance, they're calling on Indicom to be vigilant in its statutory responsibility to ensure probity and that they will leave no stone unturned. The party is demanding full transparency in the investigations and that the Jamaica Constabulary Force goes the extra mile to ensure its operations are above board. And the PNP is again demanding an effective crime plan. Member of Parliament for St. Catherine Eastern, Denise Daly, made reference to the Prime Minister's 2016 election campaign promise that residents would be able to sleep with their doors open and windows open as well. No.
You say you can't find crime, bring out the crime plan, bring out the crime plan, bring out the crime plan, because we not wait for you no longer. Because if we wait longer, you say that we are going to sleep with window and door, nobody not going to sleep because we are going to sleep in eternal peace. Can't hold away from it off.
She says the crime has crippled the country and Jamaicans are fearful.
Look at the young lady, Donnelly. Nobody can give an account for even the woman's body. And we are calling upon the government, we are calling upon the security forces to make sure now that this country gets some answers of this young lady who leave her mother's home and spoke to her mother even in the morning. And in this time and age and technology, you want to tell me, so you cannot tell us up to know really what is happening? Too much silence.
She was speaking at a divisional meeting in St. Catherine Monday night. And the PNP is again criticizing the Prime Minister for his statement 2 months ago that the National Housing Trust is not a welfare institution. PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell is the latest to take a jab at the Prime Minister. Sandy Williams reports.
PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell is concerned about what he describes as the lack of housing solutions across the country. And to add fire to fury, Dr. Campbell is still disgruntled about a comment made by Prime Minister Andrew Holness on May 20 that the National Housing Trust is not a welfare institution, but rather a financial institution. At the time, Mr. Holness indicated that the NHT has to be operated like a business so it can function effectively.
Ain't nobody asking you, Mr. Prime Minister, for welfare, because none of us now come look no welfare. What we're simply saying is that we are the contributors to the NHT, and we want the NHT to serve the purpose that Michael Joshua Manley put it in place for, to build houses so that we can live in dignity. That's what we're asking for. And if you think you can mash up Michael's legacy, you make a sad mistake.
While noting that housing is very important to the people of Jamaica, Dr. Campbell adds that the Andrew Holness-led administration's handling of housing solutions is a disgrace when compared to the number of housing the PNP provided when it was in power.
Pride and operation, pride and the housing schemes them are PTA not even got some of them. Him send just the minister of housing go home then. Lo and behold, me live to see one man when them a try to tell me this Prime Minister, who is the worst thing one to Jamaica. Driving around Jamaica, opening one dege house in a home, not a housing scheme, not even one apartment complex, in a home one dege house. And come and make big talk. Prime Minister, you're a disgrace to the people of this country who need proper housing.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
A strong warning this afternoon for farmers to stop depending on the government to assist them in protecting their produce and livestock. It comes from former Member of Parliament for North Central Clarendon, Pernell Charles Sr. Herman Green reports.
Farmers across the island have been calling on the authorities to assist them in reducing the instances of predial larceny. The farmers say since the start of the year, millions have been lost due to theft in farm produce and livestock. But speaking at the Marysville Divisional Conference in St. Elizabeth over the weekend, former MP for North Central Clarendon, Colonel Charles Sr., said the rampant acts can be stopped.
Farmers have got to stand up and defend them things. If you don't know how, call me and leave me number, anybody want it. I am not telling you that you are going to shoot and chop up people.
He says oftentimes acts of farm theft are carried out by people who are known to the farmers.
Some farmers are setting you up. And some boy will leave here, come a town, know who are goat, know who are pumpkin, know who are melon. And know say, you die, you better sleep.
Hence, he's calling for the establishment of a farm watch program.
Some sleep, some watch. Once them know you watch it, then I'll come. Well, I tell you something, if you farmers don't agree, me I come back and deal with the woman them. Because the woman them will get up, stand up, and protect them property.
Mr. Charles Sr. also had a strong message for State Minister in the Agriculture Ministry, Frank Witter.
But as minister from, you can't make them man a thief, man, goat, cow, load truck, a pumpkin and melon, and drive through near and walk out. I expect police can watch everybody. No, sir.
Herman Green, TVJ News.
And it's now time for a break here on the Midday News, but please stay with us. We'll have much more when we return. Welcome back. Tell what you know. The appeal from two government ministers in an attempt to clamp down on illegal water connections across the island. It comes as two more water systems were commissioned in two parishes.
Over the past few years, several water supply systems have been upgraded, especially in rural communities. Last week, two new systems, the Itoboreal system in St. Mary and the Torado Heights No. 1 and 2 tanks in St. James, were commissioned into service. However, speaking at the Torado Heights commissioning, Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Matthew Samuda, noted that the over $125 million investment is being threatened by illegal connections.
The systems aren't cheap. We want to maintain them. We want everybody to have flowing water through their pipe all the time. But it means that those who are stealing it have to come onto the system legally.
The Torado Heights tanks are expected to provide an additional 300,000 gallons to residents of Torado Heights, Coral Gardens, and Flower Hill. The Itoboreal system will benefit residents of Highgate, Islington, Knutsfield, and other central St. Mary communities. But considering the threat, both Mr. Samuda and the MP from South St. James are now calling for assistance from residents.
We need citizens who are paying for their water to be forthright and come forward when they see people stealing water.
I'll use this medium to appeal to them. Go into Water Commission, make your connection becomes legal. Because without that, we cannot maintain the system.
The new systems are a result of a joint venture involving the Rural Water Supply Limited and the National Water Commission. Herman Green, TVJ News.
And it's now time for the Business Minute with Cody and Barrett.
In the world of business, 120,000 users have been onboarded to Jamaica's sole digital currency wallet, Link. The platform now has more than 2,300 merchants. Through the app, Jamaicans can access and use Jamdex, the local central bank digital currency. And in the global economy, the International Monetary Fund has warned that the UK is set for the slowest growth of the G7 richest economies next year. It is predicting UK growth will fall to just 0.5% in 2023, much lower than its forecast in April of 1.2%. The global economy has shrunk for the first time since 2020, hit by the Ukraine war and COVID-19. And that's it for the Business Minute.
Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In region Regional news. Police have detained a third Bahamian national as the probe continues into Sunday's tragedy at sea that resulted in 17 Haitians drowning and 25 others rescued after their boat capsized while they were attempting to enter the United States illegally. The police said that the man who was arrested at a house in central New Providence late on Sunday night brings to 3 the number of Bahamians being questioned in relation to the tragedy. Police have already detained 2 men, a 39-year-old and a 48-year-old, after they were rescued with 23 other people after the vessel they were traveling on capsized off New Providence. National Security Minister Wayne Monroe says authorities intend to examine the full extent of the operation. On the international scene, the European Union has agreed to ration its natural gas this winter to prevent a severe supply shock. But the bloc has watered down its ambitions by offering countries some significant leeway. On Tuesday, EU energy ministers agreed to a voluntary target to reduce gas usage by 15% between August and March 2023. That reduction is measured against each country's average gas consumption during the same months over the previous 5 years. The EU Commission first unveiled its 15% target in its Save Gas for Safe Winter Plan last week, which included a proposal for a new law that, if passed, would give it the power to force states to meet mandatory reduction targets in exceptional circumstances. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Sandy Williams.
And we now head to a quick break. When we come back, Jermaine Brown will have the midday sports.